Mecklenburg police revealing new crime data they say points to an encouraging trend for your safety. The data shows violent crime and overall crime fell across Charlotte this past year. Our Michael Warwick joins us now live at CMPD headquarters. So, Michael, what does the new police chief credit for these changes?
Well, in part, she points to more proactive policing and, in turn, more encounters with the public. That is something that went up this past year, while this new data shows most crimes went down.
We're going to make every effort to keep having them go down.
Encouraged by a year-end data dump showing violent crime dropped across Charlotte compared to 2024, new police chief Estella Patterson calls it a moment of momentum into the new year.
It's amazing to see reductions in violent crime and property crime. That's extremely rare. I have not seen that, but that is promising to us. But the violent crime, because that is really the focus, and I think that is what concerns people most in the community.
CMPD crime stats show overall crime fell citywide, including murders and aggravated assaults. Juvenile crime fell too. However, CMPD says more young people were suspected last year of shooting into homes and stealing from cars than they were the year prior.
We do become very concerned about some of the decision making that some of our young people are making. A lot of times these incidents are a result of the inability to, address a disagreement.
As the department begins a new year, Patterson says addressing the perception of crime will be a priority. These statistics, she hopes, will start to help.
I think people feel safer when they walk around the neighborhood or their community and they see the presence of police officers. So I think that's the first step in us addressing the perception of crime.
Well, CMPD says it continues to wrestle with a disproportionate amount of violent crimes being committed by repeat offenders. Chief Patterson said today public safety is a shared responsibility involving police, the justice system, elected leaders, and the community. We're live outside CMPD headquarters. Michael Warwick, WETV, on your side.